Tonight, preparations for the country's 61st independence anniversary begins in Abuja. Federal government reiterates need to uphold Nigeria's unity. Lagos State Governor signs the anti-open grazing law 11 days after it was passed by the State House of Assembly. Retired police officers in Kaduna State are angry over non-payment of their pension by authorities. 6 people are dead in a university in Russia after a gunman opened fire on them. President Putin says incident is a big loss to the nation. Plus, international news from our London studio. Ahead of the country's 61st independence anniversary, the federal government is affirming that despite the challenges facing the country, Nigeria's unity remains unshaken. This is coming from top government officials who were guests at the opening of a photo exhibition in Abuja ahead of this year's anniversary celebrations. The Minister of Information and Culture, Haji Lai Mohammed, explains that the theme of the photo exhibition was carefully couched to reflect on the unity of the country despite its diverse cultures, traditions, practices, languages, and challenges.
The history of Nigeria is presented in pictorial form as the federal government rounds up the year-long activities to mark Nigeria's 60 years of nationhood ahead of the country's 61st anniversary. The photo exhibition is themed Togetherness, as the government hopes to highlight the diverse heritage of Nigeria, a point that the government believes young Nigerians should note in the face of several challenges facing the country.
Like other countries in the world, it is an incontestable fact that Nigeria, over the years, has gone through challenging times. But we must not miss the fact that its resolve to remain as one individual entity has remained unshaken.
The exhibition tells Nigeria's story of 6 decades of independence, showing footprints of its founding fathers and several political leaders to the younger generation.
This unity in our diversity has been aptly captured in the theme of the Diamond Jubilee celebration, Together, which emphasizes the promotion of social cohesion, national values through the impartation and adoption of civic and communal values that promote good character, patriotism, empathy, hard work, and self-reflection.
Throughout history, diamonds have been known for their strength and beauty. They are considered the stone of champions and choice stones to symbolize a loving relationship. These above qualities are no doubt depictive of our journey as a nation and how God has helped us through all the pressures and challenges in the last 60 years, to weather the storms of adversity and to evolve as a strong and united nation.
The exhibition, which is open to the public, will run until September the 23rd.
Here in Lagos, the Chief of Army Staff has been speaking of his commitment to ensuring that Lagos State and the entire country remain secure. Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya stated this when he paid a courtesy visit on the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, at Lagos House Marina. He also assured the governor of putting all hands on deck to achieve maximum security of lives and property, and seeks collaboration between state governments and other security agencies. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, in his response, commended the Army Chief for his strategic efforts at tackling security challenges in Nigeria.
Lagos is unique. It has everything you mentioned. It has land border, sea border, and air border. And in terms of population and all other parameters of development, Lagos is unique. And that's why now the synergy is required between the Army, other services, other agencies, including other stakeholders, including community leaders, opinion leaders, so that together we can harness particularly information sharing and synergy, so that we can enhance our operations, and to inform you that we are always committed and willing to do our very best to make sure that security is enhanced across the state and all for the army, I will say across the country.
We want to commend the men of the Nigerian army for standing up and ensuring that issues of security challenges that we have in the country, in the northeast, in the northwest, in the southwest, in the southeast, in the south, and in other pockets of areas, that your men are rising up to ensure that we can abate and we can bring this, to a manageable and a control level. We see this nation as a nation for all of us, as a place where we all need to have ourselves and continue to work in unity, in peace, and in progress. We see it as an opportunity for us to continue to ensure that the fabric of this nation is not put to test.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State Governor has assented to the law prohibiting open grazing and trespass of cattle on land in the state. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's assent comes after other governors of some southern states, including Ogun, Ondo, Akwa Ibom, and Rivers, signed the same law prohibiting open grazing. This is coming barely a week after the governor also signed into law the state value-added tax bill after it was passed by the State House of Assembly. In Nasarawa State, Governor Abdullahi Sule says it is not enough to enact an anti-open grazing law aimed at arresting the conflict associated with herders and farmers. The governor says it is important to provide the environment needed for the nomadic Fulani herders to thrive before legally confining them to a certain area. He says the experiment embarked upon in Nasarawa State is a more practical way to address the situation. He was guest on our political program, Politics Today.
We are talking to a Fulani man that all his life he is used to free food for the cow, free water for the cow, free movement around for the cow and the rest of that. Tomorrow you tell him they cannot move free. So he will ask you, so what do you have for me? What's the option? So the option is the direction we are taking. We say, okay, before we have the law, let us provide an option for you. And what is that option? We say we have adopted, and that's why Nasarawa State is the first state, okay, to adopt the NLTP, the National Livestock Transformation Plan, as is the case. And they are working on in the area right now. So we have taken one of the grazing reserves, that has already been there. We have identified it. We are working with the Netherlands government. We are working with the federal government of Nigeria, the Ministry of Agriculture, and then we are setting it up. We are going to plant grass there. We are going to build school there for the Fulanis. We are going to build health care for the Fulanis. We are going to settle them in these areas. There is now plenty of grass for you to have, plenty of water for you to have, plenty of this. Now settle here. Don't move out of this location. Now we have at least 6 or 7 locations, grazing reserves in Nasarawa State. Once we are able to do all the funding and we establish that, then we can say we have enough places to settle you, the Fulanis, in those locations. Now we don't want to see any one of you on the road.
Meanwhile, Governor Nyesom Wike has replied those criticizing his administration's decision to challenge in court the assumed powers of the Federal Inland Revenue Service to collect value-added tax in his state. For the governor, comments by some governors and other politicians alluding that his decision is not in the interest of a united Nigeria is pedestrian, as no country can be united based on injustice. Governor Wike was speaking when the management staff of the Sun newspapers visited him at Government House in Port Harcourt.
The issue of fact did not start from Rivers State alone. It started in Lagos State when Lagos State challenged it in Supreme Court. Unfortunately, Supreme Court said, look, you wouldn't have sued the federal government. All you would have done was to sue the agency. So when I came up to sue the agency that, look, what they are doing is wrong. We are not entitled to collect this. It is we. And it now looks as if, oh, we are doing something that will cause crisis in the country. Shamelessly to some states who believe that They will only, at the end of the month, go to Abuja to collect whatever is in the federal pool. Shamelessly. Some people say, oh, be a brother's keeper. I have no problem in being my brother's keeper. Let us tell ourselves the simple truth. As is today provided in the law, who is the person responsible to collecting that? Then when you agree that yes, it is the state, and then we can say that it's okay. Now we know the state, but look at the problems. That is a different thing. And instead of them to encourage us and appreciate what we have done, you are raising ethnicity, religion. Oh, this will affect so people. So what? Look at the money that federal government are going to borrow from the World Bank and the rest of all the projects in all the states. Federal government did not include River State. You borrow money that the money of the federal will use to pay back. Nobody will talk about it. A state like Rivers, the federal government did not include River State as one of the beneficiaries, that one of the states that will benefit from the projects they are taking the money from.
The Northeast Development Commission, the NEDC, says it has developed a Northeast Stabilization and Development Master Plan, which is expected to start running by the first quarter of next year. A Northeast Stabilization and Development Master Plan is a new model to develop the infrastructure and people in the region. At a meeting with state representatives from the region, the head of monitoring and evaluation describes the master plan as an all-inclusive roadmap for peace, reconciliation, rehabilitation, reconstruction, and resettlement in the region.
This meeting between officials of the Northeast Development Commission and representatives of the 6 states in Nigeria's Northeast region is part of an ongoing effort to secure the buy-in of the people as the Commission finalizes a master plan for the development of the region. According to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, 53% of persons in the region are in dire need of humanitarian assistance. This is aside the infrastructure rehabilitation and reconstruction in the region. This is one area the master plan seeks to address.
The plan should not only be alleviating that poverty. We should also try to create a plan that will promote prosperity, in the sense that as we are alleviating poverty, we are at the same time creating opportunities for prosperity to flourish.
It's been months since the Northeast Stabilization Master Plan was adopted. Officials speak on when the program will commence. This is just as representatives from the 6 states representing the region seek assistance in addressing the challenges peculiar to their states.
This part of Christmas, we'll get that master plan completed, validated by all stakeholders, and then we'll roll it out the other side of Christmas, hopefully by January.
We would want the NEDC and this master plan to look deeper into the potentials of the agricultural sector in Taraba State with a view to developing it in a manner that food production will be enhanced and will also be a way by which poverty alleviation can also be achieved.
The overall objective of the Northeast Stability Development Plan is to rebuild and reconstruct the region by 2030. Hopefully, this should bring some respite for the people.
In part 2, after the break, a federal government recommends alternative arrangements for senior secondary school students who missed their WAEC examinations due to the insecurity and sit-at-home order. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Preparations for the country's 61st independence anniversary begins in Abuja. Federal government reiterates the need to uphold Nigeria's unity. Lagos State Governor signs the anti-open grazing law 11 days after it was passed by the State House of Assembly. Retired police officers in Kaduna State are angry over non-payment of their pensions by the authorities. And 6 people are dead in a university in Russia after a gunman opened fire on them. President Putin says incident is a big loss to the nation. The Ministry of Education has denied reports making the rounds that the Presidential University Visitation Panel has indicted the management of the University of Lagos on allegations of misappropriation of funds and maladministration. Addressing journalists at a news conference in Abuja, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Mr. Sonny Echono, explained that the latest reports by the University Visitation Panel has nothing to do with the special presidential visitation panel that was set up by President Buhari on August 2020 to address the UNILAG crisis.
Last year, there was a crisis at the University of Lagos, and a special presidential visitation panel was set up with very specific terms of reference. And most of the issues dealt with issues of process. They submitted their report. Government considered their report and issued a white paper. And we have implemented the white paper on the special presidential visitation panel. The governing council was dissolved. The vice chancellor was reinstated. We have even gone ahead subsequently to appoint and inaugurate a new governing council. Now, except where government outrightly rejects a report of a panel, it does not set up another panel to review the work of a previous panel. It is not done in government anywhere. So when we talk about a new panel reviewing and indicting or exonerating or saying somebody did something right, this is absolute falsehood. This is the report of the University of Lagos panel. I have studied this report. There is nothing, in fact, they made no reference to that because they had no need to make any reference to it. It was not in their terms of reference.
Meanwhile, senior secondary school students who missed their exit classes examinations due to the insecurity and sit-at-home order by the Independent People of Biafra, IPOB, may have nothing to worry about. And that's because the Ministry of Education is recommending alternative arrangements for them. The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Mr. Sonny Echono, stated this in Abuja during an inspection of the ongoing examination by the West African Examination Council.
The Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Education leads all the directors of the ministry during an inspection of the ongoing exit classes examination for secondary school students conducted by the West African Examination Council, WAEC. According to the ministry, over 1.5 million candidates are participating in this examination in Nigeria. The number of candidates could have been more, but for the challenge of insecurity, which caused some states to close their schools. The ministry recommends that alternative arrangements be made for affected students.
We've had challenges this year in terms of preparing our students. Besides the COVID, you've seen some little bit of disruptions because of insecurity. We've had situations where even some states have had to close schools down. But we've made alternative arrangements and we've tried to see that at least exit classes are able to take these examinations. So we are satisfied with the arrangements. It could be better, but in the circumstances, I think it is very good.
The Permanent Secretary also restates government's zero tolerance for examination malpractice, insisting that it will punish individuals and institutions who break the law.
We are complying with all the standards and ethics required of examinations. We are pursuing very hard all the cases, incidents or possibilities of exam malpractice. We have a zero tolerance policy, which we announced and have been following very closely. We punish both the institutions, we arrest anybody involved, and we also ensure that credibility is restored to our system.
Last year, over 61,000 candidates sat for the West African Senior School Certificate Examination, out of which 31,751 candidates obtained a credit and above in a minimum of 5 subjects.
The federal government is hoping for a great outing on Friday as President Muhammadu Buhari gets set to address the United Nations General Assembly. Earlier today, the Foreign Affairs Minister Jeffrey Onyema visited the president at the guest house in Manhattan, New York, and thereafter told Channels television State House correspondent Gloria Umezoke that the president will be touching on the security situation in the country. I'll leave that to Terry Kumi in our Abuja studio to take over this story. Hi, Terry.
Hello, Amarachi. As you rightly said, the federal government hopes for a great outing as President Buhari gets set to address the United Nations General Assembly, and he will also be meeting with the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, tomorrow. He did speak earlier with, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs did speak earlier with Gloria Umezoke.
In a few hours to the opening session of the general debate, the president has been going into strategic meetings today with the Foreign Affairs Minister and Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations. Expectations are really high at this moment, particularly regarding what the president will address on the floor of the general debate on Friday and what this will portend for Nigeria afterwards.
And Mr. President is going to be addressing the world. And so what we will see from this is Nigeria's vision, Mr. President's global vision, and then on key issues of priority. So, you know, things like development, where we are with that, with climate change, with security, with women empowerment, what we're doing in support of that, and, you know, good governance, anti-corruption, illicit, you know, financial flows, and restitution.
Shortly after that meeting, a protest erupted here in Manhattan, quite close to the United Nations headquarters. 2 groups of Nigerians in diaspora bearing their minds on the state of the nation. They both had opposing views about the unity of the country. Now, this protest, which comes a few days before the president is billed to address world leaders, is definitely symbolic and not unusual, particularly at conferences like this. What seems to resonate for the 2 parties is that salient challenges be met and then 17 SDG goals be addressed in the coming years. From New York, Gloria Umezoke, Channels Television News.
Now in Kaduna State, retired police officers have protested over the contributory pension scheme, saying they are getting the short end of the stick over the claims. During a march to the police headquarters in Kaduna to air their grievances, they lamented what they described as lack of concern for their welfare in spite of long years of service.
According to these retired police officers, the contributory pension scheme was introduced in 2004, by the time when most of them had served about 30 years, and therefore only enjoyed the scheme for only 5 years, whereas they served for 35 years. The bone of contention is that the 2004 and amended Pension Act of 2014 has continued to deny them every increase meant for police officers who retired under the contributory pension scheme. Hence, they are no longer willing to continue with the scheme. Chanting solidarity songs, they marched to the headquarters of the Kaduna State Police Command to register their grievances.
The Nigerian Police Force headquarters.
There, they hand over their protest letter to the representative of the Commissioner of Police for onward transmission to the Inspector General of Police.
We are appealing to the federal government of Nigeria, headed by President Muhammadu Buhari, to remove us from PENCOM, that is from this contributory pension scheme. We should be removed. We are crying, we are dying. That one is a killer, in fact, it's a killer to the retirees.
About 3,000 police officers retired under the contributory pension scheme in Kaduna State alone. Many of them have passed away. For those still alive, they say life hasn't been very good for them since their retirement, as they now live from hand to mouth.
I retire as a DSP of police, equivalent to a captain in the Nigerian army. While a captain in the Nigerian army is given 180,000 naira pension, I'm given 40,000 naira, at times 38,000 naira. We have become beggars, we are educated. Most of us here, you see, we are degree holders. Most of us, you see, we are still young. It's poverty that makes you see police looking so wretched like this. Yeah. We cannot pay our electric bills, while our neighbors are they can pay all their bills. They are looking down on us. We still have elderly parents at home. That is the truth. Like me, my mother and my father, they are still alive. They can't even look up to me because I cannot even help them.
With families to cater for and with other pressing demands, these retired police officers are not happy that despite their complaints, the National Pension Commission, in collusion with the Nigeria Police Force, has allegedly refused to see to the improvement of their welfare.
Now, when the News at 10 returns, Edo State government's COVID-19 enforcement team arrests people suspected of trying to sell vaccination cards. Stay with us. Welcome back to the News at 10, coming to you live from Channels Television. The enforcement on COVID-19 vaccination by the Edo State government may be yielding the right results from the increased number of persons vaccinated. But there is a downside, as the response team has arrested suspects trying to sell vaccination cards. The Permanent Secretary, Edo State Ministry of Health, Dr. Samuel Irowa, says those trying to get the COVID-19 vaccination cards illegally will also be culpable. He was speaking at the daily COVID-19 briefing in Benin City, the Edo State capital, where he also explained that nursing mothers and pregnant women can take COVID-19 jabs under medical supervision. To some company news now, Lafarge Africa PLC is strengthening its efforts to operate in an environmentally friendly manner while creating shared value and promoting inclusive prosperity for its stakeholders. The Building and Concrete Solutions Company, in collaboration with the Food and Beverage Recycling Alliance and Green Janitors, has used the annual World Cleanup Day to educate the people on effective waste disposal.
The World Cleanup Day, held every third Saturday of September annually, aims to raise awareness of mismanaged waste crisis. This year, Lafarge Africa PLC mobilizes and educates traders at the Oreshegu Market in Bariga, Lagos, on the need to keep their environment clean by disposing their waste properly. Lafarge Africa says the awareness campaign seeks to address critical environmental issues in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
For Lafarge, we have a project which we are driving to use waste as part of our energy or as part of our raw material. So you can see why we are involved. It's because to us, that's the only way, or that's one of the ways in which we can treat waste and take it out of the society.
Beyond marking the World Cleanup Day, effecting behavioral change towards waste disposal remains a key factor.
We took our time to educate everybody. We gave out plastic bags that can enable them sort their waste. So even right now, people are surprised. Okay, I don't have to pack them together. Do I have to separate them? Yes, you have to separate them. Who is going to collect it? They now understand it's a central point of collection. What that is doing is it is minimizing the volume of waste in our drainages and in the environment as a whole.
I want them to take this message back to their household, because this thing is from the family. If the family, from each household, if we can have them to source their waste from each household, definitely it's going to reduce the level of waste pollution or plastic pollution that clogs our drainage system.
With this, I'll be able to educate my colleagues. Okay, guy, don't throw away your can anywhere. Okay, drop it somewhere or inside the nylon. Those that will need it will surely come back and pick it one day. It might not be today, it might not be, but they will surely come back to pick it up.
The company says it is pioneering the recycling of waste as a source of energy and is solving the challenge of waste through its circular business model, GeoCycle.
That's all from the nation's capital. Over now to Ann Waudu in Lagos for business news.
Thank you, Terry. Let's begin business news with Nigeria's gross domestic product per capita. It is expected to reach $2,300 by the end of this year, and that's about 84% higher than the African average. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Niyi Adebayo, made this known in New York at the United States-Nigeria Investment Summit, where he pointed out that the country's GDP, which currently stands at around $500 billion, is experiencing steady growth. He also says that foreign investment in Nigeria within the first half of the year grew by 100% year-on-year to $10.1 billion, largely due to the federal government's diversification agenda. Nine Payment Service Bank, a registered Nigerian digital bank providing unique banking services to the underbanked and unbanked, has partnered with Flutterwave, an African-based fintech company, to help provide seamless financial services to its teeming customers. At event to mark this milestone with the signing of a memorandum of understanding, the Chief Executive Officer of Nine Payment Service said both partners are creating the opportunity to drive financial inclusion.
Leveraging on strategic partnerships for financial inclusion of the unbanked and underbanked is the drive behind this initiative. Nine Payment Service Bank, a fully digital Nigerian bank, and Flutterwave, an African-based fintech company, are at the table in a groundbreaking union.
The opportunity to contribute towards creating seamless financial services and driving financial innovation. So we are delighted to be partnering with Africa's leading payment technology company, Flutterwave, and we believe that this will be the beginning of more to come.
The goal is the same. How do we leverage our infrastructure, our collective technology together for financial inclusion to penetrate across everywhere in Nigeria today? And we're glad we have such a partner in IPSB. We look forward to launching amazing new products with IPSB and obviously achieving that goal. Thank you.
To cement the union, both parties put pen to paper. No partnership comes without trust. 9PSB and Flutterwave say they are on the same page.
They started first, right? And for us, having a partner who understands the terrain very well is very important, right? In Flutterwave, we say payment is partnership. These are another expression of that from what we do.
We are actually giving one entry point to our customers, agents and partners, and enabling them to enjoy all the products and services that Flutterwave brings to the table.
Nine Payment Service Bank, established about a year ago, operates as a fully digital bank, offering seamless online and offline digital banking experience, and says it's willing to push boundaries in this partnership with Flutterwave as it seeks to enrich the digital transaction experience of customers.
Trading activities on the Nigerian Stock Exchange began the fourth week in September on a negative note, with more than 19 billion naira loss in value following sell-offs from two Tier 1 banks. Laddie Williams has the details.
Well, it's the first trading day of the week, and it's a slow start for the equities as the bear continues to tighten its grip on the markets. The all-share index dipped by 0.10% as the value of listed equities lost about 20 billion naira. Let's look at the activity levels here. Volume of shares transacted stood at 190.95 million units, valued at 2.35 billion naira in 3,462 deals. Sectoral performance was broadly negative as most key sectors were down, leaving the oil and gas and industrial index in the green. Over to the gainers counter now. Consolidated, Hallmark Insurance, Champs and Courtville led that counter. Meanwhile, Score was one of the biggest losers for the day, down 9.43%, followed by Veritas Capital and Link Assurance. However, it's a neutral market breadth with 19 gainers and 19 losers. Let's take a look at the top trades now. Echo Corporation, UBA, and Transco were the most traded by volume. Last week was quite a tussle between the bear and the bull. Let's see what happens this week. And that's the stock market report. I'm Laddie Williams. It's back to you.
That's Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawodo. It's back to you, Marachi.
Still ahead on the news at 10, 6 people killed by a gunman who opened fire in a university in Russia. President Vladimir Putin describes the incident as a big loss of the nation, plus other international news in around the world in 5. Welcome back. Russian President Vladimir Putin says today's shooting at a university in the city of Perm is a great loss not only for the families who lost their children, but for the whole country. 6 people were killed, 28 others injured when a gunman walked into campus and started shooting. Students and teachers barricaded themselves inside the university building, while others were seen screaming and jumping from windows. Simon QC has more international news in around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Dramatic images have been released of a volcano eruption on La Palma in the Spanish Canary Islands. Footage shows lava coming out of the volcano and pouring downhill, devastating everything in its path. The volcano has been erupting since Sunday, forcing 5,000 residents to evacuate. Mayor Sergio Rodriguez has said that at least 20 houses have been buried in one village. The Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, who flew to La Palma, said authorities are closely monitoring fires that may start from the burning lava. President Vladimir Putin's United Russia Party has claimed victory in the country's parliamentary elections, but with a drop in support. Celebrations in Moscow were led by the city's mayor. Putin's most vocal critics were barred from running in the election, and candidates who were allowed to stand were heavily vetted. There have been numerous allegations of ballot stuffing and forced voting, but Russia's Electoral Commission has rejected claims of widespread irregularities. A body matching the description of the missing woman Gabby Petito has been found by crews searching a national park in the US state of Wyoming.
Brains stretching, doing some...
The 22-year-old disappeared after embarking on a road trip in June with her boyfriend, Mr. Laundrie. He was declared a person of interest in the case, but not charged with any crime. He declined to speak to police and disappeared a few days later. The cause of death has not yet been determined. The United States has started flying migrants out of a Texas border town that has seen an influx of mostly Haitian migrants over the past week. Drone footage shows the scale of the operation with thousands of people at the border camp. Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz said 3,300 migrants had been moved from the camp to planes or detention centres. He said in a news conference that the goal was to process the 12,662 migrants that are underneath the bridge connecting Del Rio in Texas to Mexico's Ciudad Acuna as quickly as possible. An emergency US public health order known as Title 42 allows authorities to expel most migrants before they can claim asylum. A man who was portrayed as a life-saving hero in a film on the Rwandan genocide has been convicted of terrorism by a Rwandan court.
Finds that they should be found guilty.
Paul Rusesabagina was found guilty of backing a rebel group from exile which killed civilians in attacks in 2018. His family have alleged that he was taken to Rwanda by force. They have also said he did not have a fair trial. In the Oscar-nominated movie Hotel Rwanda, Rusesabagina, played by Don Cheadle, was shown how, as a hotel manager, he managed to protect more than 1,000 people who had sought shelter. France's defence minister has cancelled talks with her UK counterpart amid the row prompted by a new security deal between Britain, the US and Australia. Paris is angry after Australia signed the AUKUS Pact to build nuclear-powered submarines, pulling out of a major contract with France in the process. North Korea has condemned the new security pact, saying it could trigger a nuclear arms race and that it would upset the strategic balance in the Asia-Pacific region. And finally, Princess Beatrice, the 5th grandchild of the Queen, has given birth to a baby girl. Weighing 6 libs, 2 ounces, she was born at the Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. Buckingham Palace said the princess and her daughter were doing well, and the baby's grandparents and great-grandparents were delighted. The baby girl will be 11th in line to the throne and is the Queen's 12th great-grandchild. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Reigning African champions, the D Tigers of Nigeria, have advanced to the quarter-final stage of the FIBA Women's Afrobasket holding in Yaoundé, Cameroon. The senior women's basketball team this evening defeated Angola 85 to 65 points to record their second successive victory in Group B. The Black Queens of Ghana defeated the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon 2-0 to win their first game in the Aisha Buhari Cup earlier this evening at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, Onikon in Lagos. Princella Adubia handed the Black Queens the lead in the 60th minute of the second half, but Vivian Konadu made it 2 on the 89th minute. Turkey have signed with Germany under-21 coach Steven Kuntz as the senior men's national football team coach after parting ways by mutual consent with Senol Güneş. Güneş's departure last week came after the Netherlands beat Turkey 6-1 at the Amsterdam Arena to move top of World Cup qualifying Group G. And England have withdrawn their men and women's teams from next month's tour of Pakistan 3 days after New Zealand abandoned their tour of the country amid security concerns. The England teams were each scheduled to play 2 2020 international games on October the 13th and 14th, with the women's side due to stay on for a 3-match one-day international series from October the 17th and the 21st. And that sports news is back to Amarachi.
Thank you, Ayatunde. And the main news again. Today, the federal government reiterated the need to uphold Nigeria's unity preparations as preparations for the country's 61st independence anniversary begins. Also today, Lagos State governors signed the anti-open grazing law 11 days after it was passed by the State House of Assembly. And that's it on the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi.